Hi. In last video, we discussed about the properties of charges. Today, we are going to discuss about the Coulomb's law, which is used to find the magnitude and direction of the electrostatic force between the charges. We know that when the same kind of charges are placed with a certain separation, same kind of charges, that is either may be negative as the electrons or it may be a positive protons. We get the repulsive force. Because of the polarity of the charges is similar or same. See here, when the same kind of charges placed at a certain distance or the force exerted between these two charges is repulsive force. Similarly, when we place two charges, that is one is positive charge and another one is negative charge. The force between these two charges is attractive force because of the opposite polarity. One is positive charge and another one is a negative charge. Today we are going to discussing about the Coulomb's law, which is used to calculate the force between the charges. It may be a positive, it may be attractive, or it may be a repulsive. Coulomb's law. So, as we know that when we consider two charges which are separated by a certain distance, let's consider R. Here the one charge is Q1 and another charge is like Q2. We don't know the polarities of these two charges, either it may be positive or it may be a negative. That's why, see here the separation between these two charges is or here the separation between the charges is greater than the radius of the charges. That's why these charges are called point charges. These charges are called point charges. Point charges means the separation between the charges is greater than the radius of the charges. That is, the radius is very negligible. And see here, that's why on the basis of this Coulomb's law states that Coulomb's law states that the force of attraction or repulsion between 2-point charges is directly proportional to the product of magnitude of charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the two charges. And this force acts along the line joining of two charges. This is a statement of Coulomb's law. See here, two charges are there and the separation between the charges are there. The force may be attractive or repulsive depending on the polarities of the charges. We don't know exactly what polarities are there. That's why in the diagram we can show the force in this direction or it may be in this direction. Let's consider if in case the same kind of charges, then the force is repulsive only. Force is repulsive only. Coulomb's law states that the force of attraction or repulsion between the 2 point charges. Point charges means here the radius of the charges is very lesser than the separation between the charges. That's why it is called point charges. They are very small charges. Is directly proportional to the product of magnitude of charges. Here the magnitude represents is a product of charges Q1 and Q2. That's it. Here Q1 is positive and the other charge is negative. So plus 1 plus Q and minus Q. You can't take the negative sign. That's why here magnitude means polarities. We are going to neglect the polarities, whatever it may be. Just product of the two charges. That's it. Magnitude of the charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the two charges, and this force acts along the line joining of the two charges. Always this force acts along the line joining of the two charges. From this statement we can write the mathematical step, that is first point F proportional to the product of charges Q1 into Q2, equation number 1, and second, that is the product of the magnitude of charges, and second point is inversely proportional to the distance between the two charges, square of the distance between the two charges, inversely proportional, that is 1 by r square. This is the equation number 2. By combining these two equations we can write, by combining from 1 and 2, we can write F proportionality Q1 into Q2 divided by R square. If you replace this proportionality constant here we are going to introduce one constant, that is a small k, K into Q1 into Q2 divided by R square. It is a small k, where this k is called proportionality constant, called Coulomb's constant. Proportionality constant called Coulomb's constant. Here the value of k depends on the unit that are used, depends on the unit. Either it may be SI units or CGS units, depending on the units used. Here in this example we are considering SI units only, and medium between the charges, Here let's consider medium, air or vacuum, Then what is the value of this constant k? See here, in this case, k is called a proportionality constant. The value of k depends on the unit what we are using and the medium between the charges. In the case SI unit and medium, that is air or vacuum, the value of k is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught. That is equal to 9 into 10 to the power of 9. 9 into 10 to the power of 9 unit, that is a Newton meter square per Coulomb square. Newton meter square per Coulomb square. Where epsilon naught is the permittivity of the free space. Epsilon naught is the permittivity of the free space. Permittivity of free space. Then what is the value of this epsilon naught? Here the epsilon naught value, epsilon naught is equal to 8.854 into 10 to the power of minus 12. The unit Coulomb square per Newton per meter square. Coulomb square per Newton per meter square. And the dimensional formula for this. Dimensional formula can be written as, in the square bracket, m raised to minus 1, l raised to minus 3, 3 raised to 4 and a raised to 2. This is the dimensional formula for the epsilon naught, that is the permittivity of the free space. The value of this permittivity of the free space is 8.854 into 10 raised to minus 12 coulomb square per Newton per meter square. Dimensional formula for epsilon naught. Here, ಅದು ಹೆಂಗ್ ಬಂತು ಅಂತ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಫಸ್ಟ್ PUC ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಇದೆ ಯೂನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಡೈಮೆನ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲ್ತಿರ್ತೀರಾ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ರೀಕ್ಯಾಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಸಿಯರ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿ. F is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon Q1 into Q2 divided by R square. ನಮಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು ಯಾವುದು? ಎಪ್ಸಿಲಾನ್ ನಾಟ್. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಎಪ್ಸಿಲಾನ್ ನಾಟ್ is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi F into Q1 into Q2 divided by R square. See here, Q1 into Q2 charge, product of charge, that is a coulomb square. Coulomb square ನಿಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಸಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಓದಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಓದ್ತೀವಿ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ ನಾನು. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ I is equal to Q divided by T. ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ Q is equal to I into T. I ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕರೆಂಟ್, ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಂಪಿಯರ್, T ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಟೈಮ್, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ನ ಡೈಮೆನ್ಷನಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಬರೆಯೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಏನು? ಆಂಪಿಯರ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್. ಇದನ್ನ ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಸೊ ಕೂಲಂಬ್ ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್ ನ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ನಾನು ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಆಂಪಿಯರ್ ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್ ಡಿವೈಡೆಡ್ ಬೈ ಫೋರ್ಸ್. ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ಮಾಸ್ ಇಂಟು ಆಕ್ಸಲರೇಷನ್. ಮಾಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕೆಜಿ, ಆಕ್ಸಲರೇಷನ್ ಮೀಟರ್ ಪರ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್. ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಕೆಜಿ ಮೀಟರ್ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಲೆಂತ್, second square that is a second per second square is s raised to minus 2 and r square once again that is a meter square. ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ kg mass denominator ಇದೆ, ಮೇಲೆ ಬಂತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ -1, length meter meter square, m square ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಯೂಬ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಬಂತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೈನಸ್ ಕ್ಯೂಬ್, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಡಿನಾಮಿನೇಟರ್ ಇರೋದು ನ್ಯೂಮರೇಟರ್ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ ಸೈನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ -2 ಇದೆ, ಡಿನಾಮಿನೇಟರ್ ಇರೋದು ನ್ಯೂಮರೇಟರ್ ಬಂತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ +2 ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, +2 4 ಅಂಡ್ ಆಂಪಿಯರ್ ಇದೆ, ಆಂಪಿಯರ್ 2. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಡೈಮೆನ್ಷನಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಫಾರ್ ಎಪ್ಸಿಲಾನ್ ನಾಟ್. ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇದು? ಸೊ ಯಾವ್ದಾರ ಆಯ್ತು, ನಿಮಗೆ ಫಂಡಮೆಂಟಲ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟೀಸ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು ಡೈಮೆನ್ಷನಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಬರೀಬಹುದು. ಇದು ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೊಂತೀರಾ ಅನ್ಕೊಂತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದೀನಿ ನಾನು. m raised to minus 1, l raised to minus 3, t raised to 4, a raised to 2. ಸೊ ಇದು ಎಪ್ಸಿಲಾನ್ ನಾಟ್ ನ ಡೈಮೆನ್ಷನಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ. ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ಲಿ ಎಪ್ಸಿಲಾನ್ ನಾಟ್ ನಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದೆ k value which depends on the units that what we are using, that is SI unit and medium air or vacuum. Similarly, in case of CGS system, what happens? For CGS system, K is equal to 1. K is equal to 1 ಆಯ್ತಂದ್ರೆ what about force? F is equal to, directly we can write Q1 into Q2 divided by R square. In CGS system, unit is dyne. In CGS system, unit is dyne. And similarly, the value of K value, that is depends on the air or vacuum. Similarly, epsilon naught means permittivity of the free space or vacuum. Similarly, for any other medium, that is a dielectric medium, it may be metals or it may be insulators. For any other medium, we can write that is a epsilon naught, or that is called K, capital K, we can represent by K, that is epsilon naught or capital K, that is the relative permittivity. The value of K for different mediums, its value is also different. So the K value and medium, if for air or vacuum, K value becomes 1. For insulators, it is equal to or greater than 1, but is not equal to infinity. It's greater than 1 and lesser than infinity. For metals, it is infinity. The K value, that is for depends on the medium. Here it is capital K, means that capital K is the dielectric constant or relative permittivity. ಈ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೊಡ್ರಿ, ಇದು ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಕೆ ಇದೆ, ಬಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಪ್ರೊಪೋರ್ಷನಾಲಿಟಿ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಯಾವುದು ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಕೆ, ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನ ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೊಡ್ರಿ, ಇದು ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ ಪರ್ಮಿಟಿವಿಟಿ ಅಥವಾ ಡೈಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಂ ನ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ ಯಾವ್ದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೀಡಿಯಮ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? Now we're going to discuss about the vector form of the Coulomb's law, because by this we can calculate the magnitude of the force by substituting this value, that is 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into q1 into q2 divided by r square. By using this formula we can calculate the magnitude. Coulomb's law in vector form. Let's consider the reference point O. This is the point where we place the charge Q1, and the position vector from the reference point is R1, and another charge Q2 placed. The position vector from O is R2, and if the position vector leads from first charge to second charge, then we can write that is R21 is equal to R2 minus R1. If the vector leading from the second charge to first charge, that is 1, 2, can be written as R1 minus R2. By these two equations, we can conclude that R21 is equal to minus of R12 minus of R12. So here, the vector quantity, that is a force in vector notation, F vector, the force experienced by the second charge due to first charge, F21 is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into charge Q1 into Q2 divided by R21 square R21 cap. Similarly, the force experienced by first charge due to second charge can be written as 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q1 into Q2 divided by R12 square R12 cap, where R12 R21 are the unit vectors. The unit vectors can be written as R21 vector is equal to R21 vector divided by magnitude of R21. Similarly, R12 cap is equal to vector R12 divided by magnitude of R12. By substituting these two values here, in the case of, that is in the place of R21 cap and R12 cap, the force becomes F21 vector is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q1 into Q2 divided by R21 cube into R21 vector. Similarly, the force experienced by the first charge due to second charge can be written as 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q1 into Q2 divided by R12 cube into R12 vector. Here, so just by replacing the cap vector, that is a unit vectors, we get these values. From these two equations, we can write force Q1 is equal to minus of force 1 2. So thus, we can conclude that the Coulomb's law agrees the Newton's third law of motion. So So this is the vector form of the Coulomb's law. Discuss about the effect of the medium between the charges. Between the charges. Effect of the medium. See here, the electrostatic force equation, that is F is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q1 into Q2 divided by R square. This is the expression for the electrostatic force. In case, let's consider the two charges. One is Q1 and another charge is Q2. Separation between these two charges is R. Separation between the two charges is R. And the medium between the charges is filled by some dielectric constant K. Medium of the space, that is the free space between the two charges, is filled by the dielectric constant of K. Dielectric constant of K. Then the expression for the force between the two charges in presence of the dielectric medium, this expression becomes F, the force for the medium, is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into dielectric constant K. Here it is capital K into Q1 into Q2 divided by R square. See here, in this case for air vacuum general equation, F is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q1 into Q2 divided by R square. Here for the medium, that medium being completely filled in between the two charges, F medium is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into K into Q1 into Q2 divided by R square. From comparing by these two equations, we can write F medium is equal to force in air or vacuum divided by the dielectric constant K. So, by remembering this equation, we can directly substitute for any medium in between the charges. F medium is equal to force in air divided by the dielectric constant. In second condition, that is, in a second condition, the medium between the charges is partially filled. That is Q1. The charge is Q2. Separation between these two charges is, let's consider R. But dielectric medium is partially filled. Partially filled of thickness T. Dielectric constant K of thickness T. Then the distance between the two charges becomes, in this case, the distance between the two charges becomes, the total distance between the charges is R minus thickness of T plus T into square root of dielectric constant K. This is the new distance. Then the expression that force for any medium is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q1 into Q2 divided by R minus T plus T into root K whole square. This is the expression for the force when the dielectric constant of K of thickness T, that is partially filled in between the two charges. This is the condition. Now we go for the principle of superposition. Principle of superposition. Let's consider a system which encloses a number of charges, that is one charge Q, another charge Q1, position vector from the Q is R1, and another charge Q2, the position vector from the Q is R2, and another charge Q3, and so on up to charge Qn, number of charges, n number of charges, n number of charges. So then what is the force? See here, the force between these two charges is independent of the force between these two charges and independent of from the force between these two charges. That is, here the force does not depending on any other of neighboring charges. It is independent of the neighbor of the charges. Then what is the net force? The net force can be written as force is equal to F1 vector F1 plus F2 plus F3 and so on Fn. See here, in summation we can write F net is equal to the K proportionality constant K or Coulomb's constant into summation of I is equal to N into Q into Qi divided by Ri square into Ri cap. So this is the expression for the net force when the system of charges. There is a principle of superposition. Just the algebraic sum of all the forces, individual forces, is equal to the net force. Is it clear? Now, here, what is the resultant force? What is the resultant force when the two forces are acting at an angle? The resultant force due to a two forces acting at an angle theta. Let's consider F1 and F2. Angle between these two is theta. The resultant force or net force is acting at this direction. This is the angle from the horizontal force F2. See here, F net is equal to square root of F1 square plus F2 square plus 2 into F1 F2 into cos theta. This is the expression which is used to measure the magnitude of the force when the two forces acting at an angle theta. And what is the direction? What is the value of alpha? The direction can be calculated by using the direction can be calculated by using that is tan alpha is equal to F1 of sin theta divided by F2 plus F1 of cos theta. This is the expression which is used to calculate the direction of the resultant force when the two forces acting at an angle theta. Now we can discuss some of the standard formulas for a certain condition, that is when the two forces are acting, means when the two forces are equal and acting at a different angles. There are some shortcuts or rules are there. Some of the standard rules. So okay, we can use while solving the numericals when the two forces are equal. Standard results. Can use while solving the numericals. See here, let's consider first one. In case if force F1 is equal to F2, the forces, magnitude of the forces are same and they are acting at different angles, that is equal to F. So in that first case, for angle theta is equal to 90 degree. See here, F1 F2 acting at 90 degree right angles to each other. Then the resultant force is F net. The angle is 45 degree, that is alpha is equal to 45 degree, theta is 90 degree. Then the resultant force F net can be written as directly we can substitute square root of 2 into F, the value of the N1 of the force, magnitude of the force F. Similarly, for second case, theta is equal to 60 degree. 60 degree. I am approximately writing here. The angle is 60 degree. Resultant is F net is at 30 degree. Here it is F1 and here it is F2. The force F net is equal to square root of 3 into F. Directly we can substitute. See here. So, if we oftenly using these formulas, then only we can remember while solving the problems. Otherwise, we have to do the from the initial by using the formula that is F net is equal to square root of F1 into F1 square plus F2 square plus 2 into F1 into F2 cos theta. So, otherwise we can directly substitute when the two forces are same. When the two forces are same, then we can directly substitute, that is F same is. So it is no use of the representing 1 and 2. That's why F net is equal to root 2 F. And the third condition, that is if theta is 45 degree. If theta is 45 degree, F net theta is 45 degree and alpha is equal to 22.5 degree. Then the force, that is the net force, is equal to 2 plus square root of 2 whole square F. 2 plus square root of 2 whole square plus, into F. And fourth condition, if theta is equal to 180 degree, 180 degree means here F and F, they are opposite to each other. They are opposite to each other means that is one is positive and another one is negative. Directly we can write F net is equal to 0. F net is equal to 0. And fifth condition, if theta is equal to 0 degree. 0 degree means both the forces are acting in the same direction. Same direction means F. So the two forces are acting in the same direction. So then the F net is equal to 2F additional. That is simply algebraic sum of the two forces. That is F net is equal to 2. The last point, that is in case theta is equal to 120 degree. 120 degree. See here, F is F and other force which acts at 120 degree. 120 degree. And the resultant F net is at 60 degree. Then the net force is equal to F. Directly we can write that is equal to any one of the force.